Welcome to Good and Bad with Gabe Gary. I'm Gabe Gary. I don't have an intro yet, but this is the bad part of Good and Bad, and it's the bad part of Suresh's episode. In part one, we talked about his new pilot that he's going to be wrapping up shooting. He just filmed a comedy special. We talked about abortion.
We ran through quite a few things.
Yeah.
First episode.
We did not hit black police officers, which I usually like to do.
Okay.
So if we don't get to it, so we will try to get to it this time because good or bad,
Right.
We'll never know.
Are there bad games too?
No, we'll probably. We'll probably play the same type of games, but themed to the bad.
Okay, got it.
So what is bad going on in your life?
Sort of the same thing it's just my brain, it's a decent brain when it wants to be. And when it doesn't, it's just like, you know what? Let's just be the worst to you constantly.
Yeah, last time I saw you actually the second I saw you recently, but on Thursday
Right.
you had a anxiety attack.
First one in a while.
Really?
First one in a long
What was
time.
your last one before that?
So long ago I couldn't count, but I could tell you when. It was probably, so I got diagnosed with OCD, started getting medicated for it probably about 3-4 months ago now. Probably about a month before that, like I woke up, full-blown panic, just trying to get my breath back. And that happened. It caught me out of the blue. It happened in the middle of a show, and then I left that venue and came to the show I was on. And I've always known, like, me doing stand-up will, for whatever reason, sort of reset my brain because I have to focus. I've never canceled a show because of it, and I didn't even come close to that on that night. But yeah, it was weird to be medicated and still having like these symptoms. It was odd.
So you actually have OCD?
Yeah.
Do you get upset when like people are like, "I'm so OCD"?
No.
You don't get upset? I would, dude. If I had OCD,
I understand what they mean.
When you're not? So what are your OCD tics?
Well, I count a lot in my head. Like, it's not something people can see.
Yeah.
But I count a lot, and my house is usually pretty clean. It's not always the most organized. It's not like I have like a need to arrange things by color or anything like that. But the counting, the constant rumination, I tend to think about problems to a much deeper level than they deserve.
You're an overthinker?
Yeah, classic, pretty much. Like, if you think of an overthinker, it's probably somebody who has the kind of OCD-esque thought patterns I have. They're not always rational fears. But for whatever reason, my brain, in the past at least, prior to getting on meds, would panic. It would think that, oh man, like, you didn't do this, you didn't put this clip out, so like, where's your career going? What's the, and it would just spiderweb out from there. Yeah. So yeah, it's terrible, but I think doing stand-up and being honest with people about it is just like, I don't really give a damn about this stigma.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Like the good white woman you are, the next day you hopped on Instagram and made like a 4-story post.
No, I'm a great white woman. I did it the same night. That night. Got on it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that help you?
Yeah, because...
or are you doing that to say like, hey...
No, I'm just milking my mental health problems. It does help.
For real. Do you think are you like, hey, I'm Suresh and I'm on the way to living my dream and I have this problem. So
well, there's
maybe
some
I
of
can
that,
help somebody else.
But also it's the responses you get when you can't immediately get to your therapist, right?
Oh.
Like me putting it out in front of my community, the number of people the number of comedians that called,
really?
like 5 of them, dude, either sent me a message or texted me or called just to be like, are you fine? And I was like, yeah, like I mentioned in there, I'm good, but like I appreciate it.
Damn, dude, I feel when I left the bar, I gave you a pat on the back and said,
oh, no,
hey,
you're
man,
good, man. Yeah. I came in and Bill Squire was like...
Well, because you were so put together.
He was like, do you feel chilly tonight? And I was like, no, dude, I'm wearing this hoodie for like comfort. It's like 95 degrees, but
Your Fireball?
yeah, my Fireball hoodie.
That's a good hoodie, bro.
Yeah, Sarah wants me to throw it away.
Fuck that. That means you know it's good.
It shows up on certain nights, is what that means.
Yeah, dude, that's like the liberal. Not to throw back to before, when the liberals on Twitter get mad at me.
Yeah,
that's how I know for sure that'll work on stage.
Yeah. No. So I don't know. It's stand-up is the best thing that I think in some ways could have ever happened for me. It's got its drawbacks. And when COVID happened, I was certainly glad for the break because it's 8 years of going up on stage 1 to 2 times a week, if not more. Mm-hmm. And then finally, it's like, because you always feel like if I'm not doing this, someone else is going to take my spot or whatever in the back of your head. And so COVID happened, and I was like, well, nobody can take anybody's spot. We're all frozen in time. So I can actually chill out for 5 seconds. And it was good.
Are you one of those people that's like, COVID was actually probably the best year of my life?
COVID was not a bad year for me personally.
COVID was 100% the best year and a half of my life, that lockdown.
I was probably the fittest I've ever been because I just wasn't drinking at all. And I was staying with my sister in Atlanta. I left New York. And so, to get out the apartment, I would either go to the gym or I'd run around Atlanta. I was like walking like 2 to 3 hours a day plus working out just to like.
Same. The walking is the cheat code to being lean.
Really?
Didn't you get skinnier when you were walking?
I got skinnier, but I also lifted, so I got a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And then the world opened back up, and I was like, "Let's drink everything."
Yeah. Well, that's it, because you're a social drinker. You're like the first. When we're out, you're like the first guy to say, "Let's do a round of shots."
Yes, I need to change that about myself.
No, I mean you're the guy.
I like for everybody to have a good time.
Right.
The problem is I like to have a good time too often.
But when you were cooped up alone in the house, you didn't drink at all.
Right. I would drink
You're
like once a month maybe. I would have like a little glass of whiskey or something, and even then it just kind of because my sister doesn't drink very much, and I always felt like if nobody else is drinking, then why the hell am I?
Yeah.
So what I've got to realize too though is that I asked that question and then I answer it myself. I'm like, well, no one is drinking. Let's everybody, get around shots. I solve my own problem and create my own demon all at once.
Yeah.
When I was 26, I took an entire year off drinking.
Really?
It was great. I got so much better at stand-up.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I was just present.
I refused to drink on weeknights at open mics and stuff at shows.
It's a quick way to put on some weight.
That was the main reason I did it, but I am getting better at stand-up, not drinking. But the main reason was like it adds up fast, and when you're drinking at mics, by the time Thursday comes around, you can't even get up for work.
You're exhausted all the time. So yeah, I don't know. Like Sternick is like one of my close friends on the scene for sure. Mm-hmm. And, I told him, he saw like the anxiety attack stuff. He called me and he's like, well, what do you think's like causing it? I was like, I don't know, dude. I'm on medication. Like, it's been a while. Sometimes these things just happen. He's like, yeah. And also you've been drinking a little bit.
Yeah.
And when he says that to you, it's like, oh shit. Like, cause Brian's not a judgy person.
No.
He's just looking out. So that to me was like, yeah, I better just like dial this back and eat some salads for a couple weeks.
Some guys in the scene like to give advice after your set.
Uh-huh.
And some guys, you're just like, either this is bad advice or why would I take advice from you? Mm-hmm. Brian is one of those guys that if every single time Brian has given me advice personally, one, I listen, mm-hmm. and two, it comes off like the only reason he's giving me this piece of advice is because of two things. He wants me to be better, and he knows that if I'm better, that'll make the scene better.
He doesn't. He's not a selfish guy.
Just like if he can make a single comic better, it'll make the scene better. And Brian is like one of the few people where it's like, now I go to him and ask him, hey, mm-hmm. what do you think of this?
No, he's a good dude. He's a great friend. He's not selfish.
He's not at all.
And
actually,
he's got a very easygoing demeanor. Like you could almost listen to him give advice on anything. Mm-hmm. Now, guaranteed,
he knows nothing about.
It's going to be 140 decibels when he delivers it to you. But that aside, he's a great dude. I would hang out with Brian any night of the week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Sternick a lot.
But now he's got a girlfriend and he can't do that.
I think he gets out a lot, man.
He does.
He's at mics all the time. He's at shows.
He is. I mean, you can't. You can't introduce somebody into the Cleveland comedy scene without saying, "Hey, you should talk to Brian
Here's the
Sternick."
mayor of one of them. There's a couple names,
few mayors.
Yeah, there's a couple mayors. He's definitely, at least when he was running LVT,
He was the mayor.
he's the mayor. But now they're doing the secret show stuff. They got 4 shows a week, dude. They got like Judd's and what I think there's got like 3 or 4 different shows.
Judd's Secret.
There's 2 more. I can't remember.
They had one open mic. They killed that off pretty quickly.
Oh.
Though. It was like a bucket spot show.
Mics are never fun to run.
No, I'm so happy. I have no plans to ever running a mic.
All mics should be shotgun mics. I would
Should be what?
shotgun mics
3 minutes.
where you bring on the next comic.
Yeah, no host.
No host.
Just one person to get set up the speaker.
Yeah, pretty much. And they do a set up top and they book maybe 5 good comics throughout. And then you do batched shotgun, 3, then one person you book, then 3 more.
Oh, that's interesting. And what do those 3 people only get like 2 or 3 minutes?
Maybe shorter sets or because they're untested capacities, right? So you may need someone to reset the momentum. And if you're not hosting, then you need to know that there's good acts that you can punch into it.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. It's an easy way to not set yourself up. Like, Kilius is doing a 3-4 hour mic once a week. I mean, it's insane. And it's just getting up and getting off and constantly having to watch the clock. It's not fun.
No.
It's not. I don't envy Jimmy.
No.
Yeah.
No. And he got that during COVID. Before you know it, dude, he's been doing that for like 2 years.
Yeah. And
Before you even know it.
He's somehow had COVID more times than anyone on this planet. He's had like 6 varieties of COVID at this point. And I'm like, man, you are indestructible. He can't remember past last Wednesday, but
no.
Otherwise, great.
He does love the party. While we're talking about drinking, we'll play a game.
Okay.
Get rid of one.
Okay.
Liquors.
All right.
Whiskey, vodka, tequila, gin.
Gin.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Not a big mixed drink guy. Because you never want to do shots of gin.
No, but also I don't like that lingering flavor. Like I don't like mangoes or cucumbers. Like it just hits you in the nose for some reason.
What about a mango or a cucumber screaming?
It's so fucking.
Mango is like
no. I'm just saying
fruit.
I can't do anything where the flavor overpowers you and won't leave. And gin feels like
Very
that.
bitter.
Gin's not bitter. Gin's almost got that like it feels like I drank an air freshener. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what gin feels like to me.
Yeah, I get that. Your favorite is Fireball, though.
I love Fireball. Tequila is a close second.
Yeah.
It used to be vodka for a long time.
Yep. I watched
Fireball's technically whiskey.
Yeah,
But it's not whiskey.
No, it's just cinnamon liquor.
Whiskey with a pickleback is great.
Yeah.
They do that in South Africa. That's where I discovered that.
They also do that in Twinsburg.
Yeah, apparently that. But down there, it's like the thing. It has a name too. But a lot of people drink
Pickleback.
Whiskey with a pickleback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, do they not call it a pickleback?
No, a pickleback is just a chaser.
Oh, I thought pickleback was the whole thing. Shot chaser. They just call it a pickleback. Jameson and pickle juice.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I used to be really into vodka. Obviously, because in college you're just making mixed drinks, and vodka's the easiest.
Yeah.
But then I watched Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron. Great flick, great, one of my favorite actresses. But she's constantly just drinking Stoli on the rocks. So I just bought a bottle of Stoli, and I was drinking Stoli on the rocks for like a month.
That's rough.
It was awesome, dude. Just sipping a little vodka, bro. I want to sip a little vodka.
The vodka doesn't have enough flavor.
It has no flavor at all.
Yeah. It just has burn flavor.
It's really good.
Tequila has a little bit.
Have you ever had like really, really good aged like agave tequila?
No.
Like it's like dark brown, like syrup. You sip it. You don't even shoot.
I don't
it.
like the super smoky stuff.
It's good, man.
I like reposados. That seems to be like the right range. Anything añejo is too. It's got the same thing. I feel like I drank a woodsy air freshener.
Yeah.
You know. And then the blanco stuff just seems like cheap spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad is like he's like a big guy. He's just like a big Midwestern dude. He only drinks 2 things: Coors Light and Patron. And so like anytime, so like he would go visit like my little sister on like dad's weekend at college and stuff. When this dude busts out the tequila shots,
It's over.
over, dude.
Yeah, I'm kind of like my first year living in my house. There's still a little bit of COVID in the air, and I would drink Terramana tequila all the time.
What's that?
It's the Rocks tequila. It like just happened to launch at the same time that I bought the house. I bought a bottle, and next thing you know, I'm buying a bunch of these. So we've kept all of those bottles in the pantry, and there's like probably 30 bottles, and we bought a glass cutter, and we're trying to turn them into candles and shit.
Nice. Yeah.
But if I showed The Rock just how much money came out of my wallet and into his fucking company, I think he'd hire me. It's like, be like, you know what?
I
You've
love
invested.
when celebrities get liquor companies. It's like
It's smart.
it's very lucrative.
Yeah, it's a vice industry. It doesn't cost much to produce.
Gambling, smoking, drinking.
ATF regulated industries are like that.
Tobacco.
Hence, opening a bar. We didn't talk about that on the good side, but
Well, we shouldn't
yeah.
because bad, bro.
You think so?
No, I think you should. Dude, it's like here's the thing. Owning a bar is like one of my dreams,
Yeah.
and here I am. I'm going for one of my dreams, and it's just like I could totally fail and crash and burn and have to start over
Sure.
from zero at age 40.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between opening a bar? I think the main thing about comedy versus bar is like you don't have to take out $2 million to do comedy.
You don't need $2 million for a bar, and the odds that people actually come to an establishment just to take in what you're selling
Way
is
higher.
higher.
Yeah. Actually, if more people will come to your bar if you can promise them that there won't be comedy.
Yes, yeah, you won't be ambushed by a show here. So yeah, I don't know. It was more the city than the industry. Like Bentonville, Arkansas is exploding in terms of growth, and they literally have a billboard up in Austin at the airport right now that says, "Did you miss the Austin housing boom? Try Bentonville."
Are they gonna when the climate crisis hits? How are they? They on a
Arkansas,
river?
we're inland, lots of rivers in the area. The
Yeah.
Ozarks are right there.
That I'm really happy I got property here.
Yeah.
For the climate crisis.
Yeah. How soon do you think that's coming?
I'll be alive for it.
Okay.
I think so.
That's why I'm trying to drink so much. I'm not trying to see that.
Knock it out before it can get to you.
Yeah. Look, I think I do think it's coming. I don't think and I think there's going to be a lot of war based around it and a lot of human migration based around it.
Yeah, well, I think LA and Hollywood,
Yeah.
because so many rich people live there, they're going to survive for a long time.
They're all migrating out. They're coming to places like Arkansas.
And Denver.
Yeah.
And stuff.
They're
But
moving
like
mid.
I think the
country.
industry will stay there just because it's so they'll just like ship in trucks of bottled water for one shoot, you know,
Right.
like it's just too ingrained there.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're gonna struggle.
They'll just move somewhere else.
Who fucking knows, dude?
Everybody's an immigrant somewhere.
No,
Yeah.
I was born here, bro.
Doesn't mean you're not an immigrant. Everyone's a migrant at some point in their lives.
Yeah, I mean,
It's very rare, I think, for people to stay in the same place. Although I did read a stat that at least up until the 80s or 90s, something like 60 or 70% of people married a person within 2 miles of their home.
Yeah, well, so my degree is actually in communications. My minor is film studies.
Okay.
And in communications, you learn about interpersonal relationships, connecting with people, essentially.
Nice.
And so I am technically using my degree right now. And you learn about like how interpersonal relationships form and grow and stuff. And there are like 5 factors
Yeah.
that convert into relationships, you know, stuff like common interest, age, attractiveness. Like this college textbook literally said, if you are in the same perceived, if you're like according to society, like if you're a 7, you're probably going to marry a 7, stuff like that.
Sure.
Proximity.
Yeah.
You're much more likely to fall in love with somebody that you see in class every day, or you go to work with, or you go to the same bar or the same church, stuff like that. Like, and I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Like, what'd you say? What % of people marry someone within
60, 70?
Yeah. You know what's shocking to me? 30% of people marry somebody that lives in
3
another
miles
state.
away.
Yeah.
I mean, I only,
But what's your Tinder radius set to? More than 2 miles?
50 miles probably.
Well, it's
for a
because
lot
we're
of people.
dudes, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, dude. Even when I was on Tinder, it was like the Sahara for me. Just this look on Tinder.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like it attracts the FBI and no one else. Like, that's the only people that are interested figuring out where I am on a Thursday night. Yeah, dude. That's crazy. But yeah,
Do you go to your therapist in person?
I do. Sometimes she's up in down in Arkansas, so I'll go.
She's in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Do you ever Zoom her here?
Yeah, like I sometimes will do like a Zoom or even just a phone call. Excellent therapist, and like we've now been in the same room for counseling for 6 years, 7 years.
That's a good relationship.
Yeah, maybe even longer. And like it's so crazy because she would counsel me through bouts of anxiety and depression, and it wasn't until like last year that I was like, "Do you think I have like OCD and that's what's causing it?" And then I did like this gene site testing, which looks at your DNA for what medication is most effective for your genetic markers.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck up.
And it like within that first month. So I didn't drink the first month. I took the medication. It worked great. So then I started drinking again naturally. And then just up the dosage slightly. And it seems to be like really keeping things at bay.
The medication? That leads me into this game.
Sure.
And I don't even have medication on here, which I'm good, and which I'm glad about.
Get rid of one. Medication.
Yeah. We're gonna rank mental health alleviation activities.
Okay.
Exercise, nutrition, journaling / writing, drinking it away.
I won't deny that drinking has had like good effects on my life. I started doing stand up because I drank too much one day, and I ended up at an open mic, and then that was that.
Yep.
You know, but it's definitely at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
For your mental health, it's the bottom of the list.
Why? Because it works in the moment.
Because it's a depressant. It's like doing anything that it sets a higher baseline for how much dopamine you need to feel happy than the next time. Right? Because if you get an instant hit of dopamine, now you're up here, and then you come back down slowly. Now you need to get back up there. That's why people keep drinking. At least that's what I was reading. So what were the other three? Nutrition, exercise,
writing, or journaling. I say writing because you write stand up. Well, I learned earlier you don't actually write anything.
Yeah, exercise is the top.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the hardest one to execute for me because I just don't like. It's so hard for me to get going. And that's, yeah, so exercise is the top. Writing is probably the second best thing just because it helps you make sense of your thoughts and put a name to what you're going through. So like a lot of the time I'll email my therapist. I'll literally type out my thoughts.
By the time you're done with the email,
yeah,
you don't even have to send it.
Usually by the time I'm in session with her, you know, I've already resolved it because she has like a week lead time, you know, to get in. So I kind of have to go back and relive the problem instead of responding, which is good because you don't build like a dependency. Like, hey, if you don't pick up, am I really going to panic? It's like, no, I've done it for a while where I can't get to you instantly. And then the nutrition part is probably third. It's probably third.
I feel like nutrition's that thing where it's happening in the background.
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing it right, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm in such a great mood because I ate well today. But, like, if you do consistently over and over again, like, your mood will gradually improve. And you'll be like, oh, it's because I've been exercising. It's because I've been doing X, Y, and Z, stuff like that.
I do think cutting sugar out of your diet on some level or reducing it is smart.
I feel like that's related to dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. What's that thing? There was, like, a show, right, where they said, like, sugar has the same effect on the brain as Coke, which I don't know how true that is, but...
Well, you could say...
It, like, lights up your pleasure centers?
Yeah, you say that, like, you know, washing your hands has the same effect as jumping into a pool. You get wet.
Sure, yeah. I don't know how they draw the parallel.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's, like, cranial activity that is going to make...
Chemical receptors.
Yeah.
It's probably the same chemical receptors, just on a different level.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what it is. I think a lot of us are just living very unfulfilling lives. And this is a country that constantly tells you that if you're not number one... What's the thing? If you ain't first, you're last. Talladega Nights. I think that mentality is so ingrained in us, and we don't know it. So you never stop trying.
That's why a lot of comedians are bummed about the way their career's going. It's like, no, dude, just focus on you. Just like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. The best thing I could tell you is like a lot of people lean really heavy on being given permission to do X, Y, and Z for fear of being judged and then kept out of something because they think of you as an amateur or whatever else. Dude, fuck all that. Do what makes you happy. And that's the real victory.
I agree completely. Who would be a better therapist? Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler?
Sandler. Easy. So easy. He was in a movie about therapy. He was in Anger Management. That movie with Jack Nicholson.
What movie?
Anger Management.
He was a therapist?
He wasn't a therapist. He was the client. And the therapist was kind of like dicking him around.
Do you think Will Ferrell would be a bad therapist?
I don't think he'd be a bad therapist. I've never seen Will Ferrell play a dramatic and or serious role.
You should watch Everything Must Go.
Okay.
Or Elf.
That's I would take Sandler. Something about him has a very like down to earthness.
Yeah.
It's not like a constant manic energy.
He's a Jew.
That too. I appreciate that about him. Are you Jewish?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, okay, here's the thing. My dad is Jewish. Like, my dad's side of the family, fully Jewish. My mom's family is not Jewish.
And I thought you can only be Jewish
everybody tries to tell me, well, you're not a Jew because your mom.
Oh, they do it with their hand on their hip like that?
Yeah, they do it. And because your mom's not a Jew. And that's the only way you could be Jewish. And first of all, fuck that. I grew up in the culture, celebrating every holiday, eating all the food, going to the bar mitzvahs and shit.
Did you have one? You had a bar mitzvah?
No, we were raised Catholic.
Oh.
We were confirmed Catholic, but like at this point, like I identify much more with the Jewish side of my family, just like attitude wise and like, you know, personality wise. And the reason they say that you're only Jewish ethnically, because anybody could be Jewish religiously. The reason they say you're only Jewish ethnically if your mom is Jewish is because if your mom is Jewish and you came out of your mom, then you know for sure that's your mom and you're Jewish. You can't be for sure that's your dad. But my dad is my dad.
Right.
We could do a DNA test. Also, I qualify.
You just did a DNA test. 100% Jewish.
Also, I qualify for birthright.
Like a birthright trip to Israel.
Yeah, I could take the birthright trip to Israel for free.
And who pays for that?
The Jews. They got the dime.
Sure.
They can foot the bill.
Dude, Indians have money too, but none of us are fucking paying for some other Indian to go back to India. They're like, there's already too many of us there.
What's the religion there?
Hinduism. That's the major religion, but like
do they have a pilgrimage?
Oh yeah,
Hindus have a pilgrimage,
but that's within India. And a lot of these things, man.
So I feel like American Indians aren't very religious.
Some of them are more religious than the Indians you find in India.
Really?
Yeah, because that is their tie to their culture.
Sure.
And oftentimes there's obviously religion is everywhere in India, but so are people. And so you're constantly fighting this battle between believing in God and not disbelieving that people are
seeing five guys grow up the same woman on the train.
Well, yeah. Well, that kind of stuff is a real like black mark on the country. Like it's a stain on our.
Well, I mean, you mentioned this on stage, but I appreciate like daughters are thumbs down. You don't you want to have sons.
Yeah. So the joke I made about abortion the other day.
It's real.
Was over here, everyone's fighting for the right to an abortion. If you're in India, it's almost like a prerequisite that you need to have one if you have a girl.
Yeah.
It's a dark joke, but
do it. I say do it. I say couch it in somewhere in the middle of your set while you're talking about like
female infanticide is a real problem in India. It's actually illegal by law, but there's plenty of doctors and families that will perform these procedures for a bribe or.
Yeah, so like it doesn't surprise me when you hear about all the misogynistic shit that comes out of there.
If I was the Indian government, I would pretty much outright ban like telling the parents the gender before your child is born.
So that way they can get real blood on their hands.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's not good policy making. I have some time to think
See,
this
it's
through.
but like here's the stuff. Changes like this, whether or not they're made legislatively, take generations to change.
Yeah.
Like America, we see America going backwards. The reason that's happening is because when these women's rights laws were passed, and they're talking about overturning some racial civil rights laws, the reason they're doing that is because when they were passed, the people on the courts today were kids.
Right.
Alive. They were alive when they were passed, and their parents were like, "This is bad," and now they're in charge, and they can get rid of the laws. So, like in India, like if you were to try to make these changes in a legislative nature,
Yeah.
it would take generations of those laws staying in place,
Yeah.
for anything to actually change.
It's beyond that, right? We have a judicial system that doesn't work fast enough to prosecute crime.
Okay.
We have rampant corruption, and we have, I think in general, we have a lot of nationalism.
We're still talking about India, right?
Yeah,
Not
India.
America.
No, yeah, India. We have a lot of nationalism where people like get really like gung ho about like don't disrespect the country, but when it actually comes to doing positive things in their environment, they're absent.
Right.
They're the first people that will like, go beat up a guy for not standing for the anthem, but then you're also littering the streets. So tell me, do you love this place that much or not? Like you just need a place to get a reason to get your anger out.
People aren't that different. Everybody just wants to be right.
It annoys me, dude. It annoys me to no end because, like, think about this. Indians were enslaved by the British Empire not even 80 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now we're considered like, a global superpower. On some level, we have nuclear capacities. We have the world's largest English-speaking democracy, and we're dominating soft services, the IT industry, places like that. But for some reason, when you ask us to work for other cultures and other people, we do a great job. You ask us to work for each other, and we're just like, nah, I'm going to take a backseat here.
Well, where's the pay better?
It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It should not matter. Think about this, right?
What pays better?
It's all the West, but nobody asks why does the West pay better? How was it that the West went from the Great Depression to probably one of the most wealthy countries in the world in the span of 5 to 6 years? World War II reparations, post-war boom. India fought in World War II. 77,000 men, I think, died in the North African theater alone. No reparations, nothing.
Well, because that's not where the white people were.
Yeah, but that's
the
where all
the white people in Britain.
Yeah,
they
got
hurt.
repaired for.
They got hurt.
Yeah.
So we got to help the whites,
dude. I don't even understand how the British Museum is still a thing.
Yeah, that's
like if I go there as an Indian to see Indian artifacts, I have to pay money. I have to pay an admission fee.
Like, that's my stuff.
To look at stolen artifacts.
Yeah, that's like your ex-wife takes your house and all your shit, and you got to get a government order to walk in the house. Like, that's my stuff.
Yeah. So
I saw a great tweet. It was like, you got to separate the art from the artist, and the British Museum is like, say less.
Yeah, it's just like their prime minister came out and he'd been facing all this, and he's like, we're just not going to talk about like the Elgin marbles, which are these like marbles from Greece that are like all these looted antiquities. And he's like, we're just not going to talk about that. And it's like, oh, cool. So when did you get to decide? That's the thing. Like, Russia invades the Ukraine, right? Nobody likes it, but there's one thing I appreciate about those guys. They don't shy away from being the bad guy. They're never like, we're giving people democracy. They're just like, no, we just want it. There's a lot of gas and oil.
This whole thing about they're getting rid of the Nazis, that was Fox News trying to spin it.
Dude, they out and out said, like, everybody back the fuck up. We're taking it. Yeah. And
respect.
Yeah, because honestly, like, even, like, I would appreciate that so much more if anyone attacked India tomorrow, if they were just like, yeah, it's strategically important for us to have.
When people are like, Republicans and say they're pro-life, but they don't do childcare, all that jazz. Like, when they're confronted with these questions by journalists, so like, what do you say about these people that say you're not Christian? And then they just give some political answer.
Yeah.
I would love for a journalist to say to a Republican, be like, critics are saying that you're not actually pro-life. You're not acting in accordance with the word of God. And it's not about saving babies. It's about controlling women. And they just go, yeah.
I mean, if they just were honest about it for once, the thing is, if people see that, Then they go, you know what? Now we really need to fucking protest. I'm not working until this is resolved.
Or they see a Republican say like, yeah, we want to control women. They get 52% of the vote.
I don't know how that happens.
America hates women. Even women hate women. Dude, my mom didn't vote for Hillary because she said, quote, a woman is not fit to be president.
That's crazy.
And her sister, my mom and her sister, acknowledged. They have said to me out loud, they go, we were not raised to believe that women can have positions of power. It's this weird American indoctrination where they know that they were raised with the wrong morals related to their own agency, and they still stand by it.
That's a very interesting nuance because, like, if you look at India, right, we had Indira Gandhi, like, almost now, this must have been, this is years and years ago. We've had female leaders in the prime minister's office and as president before, and we have both. The prime minister is more important. The president's figurehead, kind of like British monarchy.
Yeah.
But we've had both, and we have goddesses in our religion. I think what happened...
Ancient Indian religion has more than goddesses. They have gods with no gender.
Right. Yeah. So we've got all of that. And for some reason, what I feel like happened in the last maybe 20 or 30 years, we grew out of... Like in the 90s, India had an explosion in terms of economic growth. Like they opened the economy up because post Britain leaving, they locked everything down. They tried to basically nationalize as much of it as possible. And then they opened it up and India exploded. For whatever reason, Indian men as a group need to figure out why we are angry but never take it out on the right people. Because the people we should be angry at are the British. And when they visit our country, we're very, very nice to them. And like, there's this inferiority complex. You've got skin bleaching going on. You've got people wanting to be whiter. All our movie stars are light skinned. And I think what ends up happening is we instead take it out on each other, with men taking it out on women disproportionately. And the rule of law is not present unless you have money. Like that's one of the things I learned early on is like, I forget who it was. Someone in my family was like, hey, do you know you're always saying like money, like bribing is a bad thing, money's a bad thing. The only reason your aunt got the hospital bed she got was because we had enough money to pay for it. Mm-hmm. She could have been lying in the general ward waiting for surgery, but we just,
why was that ever even an option?
Money's a defense. It's the same here.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You know, you can get a doctor to make a house call.
Not so like it's completely different because I feel like whiteness is valued in India because of just like the colonial past. History, yeah. But like now Kim Kardashian does her best to be as close to black as possible.
Do you think so?
Yeah, you've seen her like spray tan and tan and tan and tan.
She's Armenian.
She is.
I think she does a lot to not be seen as Armenian.
Sure.
I mean, okay, I think a better example for what you're saying is Ariana Grande.
Okay,
right.
Here we go.
There's a woman that tries to portray herself as Latina or maybe black, or like, you know, biracial.
Yeah, I feel like
she's an Italian girl.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but like, agnostic of Indian culture, but trying to elevate yourself to whiteness is to say like, oh, I'm not oppressed. I'm on the level of if these white people will accept me, then certainly I'm of their caliber. Whereas over here, you got white women trying to be oppressed so bad that they damn near color their skin dark.
Yeah, I'm not sure what all of that is about. Like I don't know.
It's so this shit is so complex here.
Yeah, I've had 3 high noons. So my brain is not capable of.
All right, we'll stop talking about blackface.
Oh God!
Play one last game.
All right, let's play a game.
Better drinking buddy.
Okay.
Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr.
I gotta say MLK Jr. Dude.
He was a dog.
I mean, think about who he was hanging out with, right? At that point in time. And Ali doesn't drink, but I'd love to have known him. Like Sammy Davis Jr. in the Rat Pack.
Apparently, according to the new movie, Elvis. Apparently, he and Elvis were boys.
He knew a lot of influential people and a lot of movers and shakers. I bet you that those parties were a lot of fun.
I bet.
Even in the
He cheated on his wife.
even
dude.
in the depth and the darkness of the civil rights movement, I'm sure there were occasional parties that were taking place. Meanwhile, with Gandhi, I don't know. There's a lot that.
Well, he was very political. You got fundraisers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
MLK
but he was
party.
a very problematic politician, and he was. Gandhi is a difficult character, right? Because on some level, I owe my freedom as an Indian to his efforts, and then on the flip side, some of the things that he said about black people, some of his like experiments with
Sleeping with
sexuality
them.
or
Yeah.
whatever, resisting
Hey,
moral
come,
compulsions.
hey, cute 14-year-old girl, come sleep in this bed with me so I can not fuck you.
I'm not sure what what he was trying to accomplish by doing that or those things.
He was
But that's
I
the
can tell
thing.
you exactly
no,
what he was trying to
no guy
accomplish.
is perfect, right? Like nobody's perfect, but I'm picking MLK Jr.
Yeah.
I'll take the guy. I'll take cheating over.
Yeah, and that is
anything
and
happen
that's
on the
good
other
and
side.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if people want to watch the special and or the pilot, RajDoesComedy.com is the website, and I'll post about it on all my social media, and all of that is Raj Does Comedy as well.
RAJ.
Yeah, and on Facebook, I'm Raj, R-A-J, last name is Suresh, S-U-R-E-S-H. But that's about it. That's all I got. And if you're in Bentonville, Arkansas, message me because I don't know when this comes out, but hopefully the bar is up and running by then.
You think it's gonna be that soon? This is gonna maybe be like end of August at the latest.
I don't know what kind of setup we'll have. Our hope is to be running by like sometime between end of August and start of November.
Dude, if you open a bar, you're never coming back to Cleveland. You know
Why?
that, right? You have to be there every day.
I don't. My partners do. Partners and staff do.
Cut.
Yeah, leave that.